Hello, friends. I believe our sound is working. I can see all the lights blazing up. It looks great. So let us know in the comment window if you can hear us. But so far, so good. It looks like we are back and ready to go. Let me just make sure everybody can hear us. We're back. Let us know if you can hear. It was a Google Hangout thing. It looked like working. Okay, y'all let us know. Okay, great, you can hear us. Excellent. Okay, thanks for your patience. You know, this has really been the story of my year, about progress, not perfection. I'm gonna flip to that page. Progress, not perfection. That's what this year is all about. So that was a great example of that. Thanks y'all so much for sticking with us. Okay, so I'm Lara. I'm Nicole.
I'm Emily.
And we have been working together for the last 6 years. And you didn't hear any of what we were talking about before, so I will recap for you. Is that we have been working together for the last 6 years and doing PowerSheets together for the last 3. So we're excited to hopefully impart to you lots of good tips, knowledge, and experience from all of us doing this together. This year, we're most excited about the fact that everything you need is inside of these PowerSheets. So if you're a first timer, this is the perfect year to start. If you're, I said it before, a repeat, yes. If you're a repeat PowerSheets user, then you're going to be delighted by the simplicity of the process this year. And if you don't have your PowerSheets yet, then it's not too late. Certainly you can go to shop.cultivatewhatmatters.com, and Amber from our office is in the chat window right now, and she'll drop that link in for you. Shop.cultivatewhatmatters.com. Tomorrow's the last day to order for holiday delivery. You can certainly order after that for New Year's delivery, but get your PowerSheets in hand if you don't have them already. All right, we're gonna get started. Like I said, these 2017 PowerSheets are the most streamlined and simplified product that we've ever created. And we had ourselves in mind with this too. Like we have, like you know, gone through many years of using the PowerSheets, and we've been listening to the challenges that people have faced with uncovering really good goals and feeling overwhelmed by goal setting. And I love all the questions that all of you have asked. So thank you so much for your very good questions. We're gonna get to those. But here's the thing. How many of you do not like traditional goal setting? I'm just gonna pop over so we can see some of your comments. How many of you, hi friends, how many of you do not like traditional goal setting? Or even when you hear the words goal setting, it kind of makes you cringe a little bit. And I was actually doing an interview with someone the other day, and they said, well, Lara, you know, you run this company about goal setting. You've written a book called Make It Happen. So clearly we are people cut from 2 different cloths, because I do not do the goal setting thing or overachieving thing, right? Y'all feel the same way? But I want you to know that I'm exactly the same. So that I don't talk about this because I'm good at it or because I like it, but I want to do my life intentionally, and I want to cut through the fluff, and that's what the PowerSheets are all about. So this is goal setting for people who hate traditional goal setting. And if you've been feeling overwhelmed, feeling like you have so many goals and you don't know where to start, this is for you. So welcome all of you that are first timers, welcome those that are repeat PowerSheets friends, welcome to the family. We're excited especially about this year. So why are the PowerSheets different, and how are they different? This is very important to know as you begin your PowerSheets process. The PowerSheets are different because they help you focus on the essentials. This is not about doing more or being more. I don't have time for that in my life. I want to only focus on the things that truly matter to me in the big picture, and that's what the PowerSheets are for, to help you uncover what your priorities should be and then to do something about them, little by little. So the PowerSheets help you focus on the big picture and make small steps to make that happen. So think big picture and take small steps. That's my first piece of advice for you. Think big picture and take small steps. And Amber put that link to the chat window. Thank you so much, Amber. Little by little progress really adds up. So that's why I showed you that new spread we have this year. Progress.
So big.
So big, exactly. Progress, not perfection. We really want you to remember that. So yeah.
Yeah, and another piece of encouragement that we want to offer you right from the beginning is to really have a lot of freedom in the process. You know, we thought about it carefully and are guiding you through it, but I think one of the things we hear the most often is how overwhelmed people can get by looking at this as a year workbook and thinking, oh my gosh, I have to have my entire 2017 planned out by the time I get through the prep work. And
that's
not the case.
No.
You'll definitely see that as you start going through the work, but really just we want you to be where you are now and think about this season. And we've intentionally built in kind of stop points and refresh points along the way so that you can adjust as your seasons change. So yeah, just fill it out for where you are now and know that it will adjust with you as the year progresses.
Yes, there's no pressure on that. There is a goal check-in every 3 months, every season, because goals should change. As you change, goals should change. So if you come up to your 3-month refresh and you're like, I have no clue why those were my goals 3 months ago, then celebrate, because that means that you grew and you changed. So yeah.
Yes, and as you're getting started on this prep work, just keep in mind, I think a lot of you and a lot of us feel a lot of pressure just to get started. Like Amber and I were talking yesterday about how we have to be in the perfect mental space to go through prep work, and that is absolutely not the case. We designed the process so that the PowerSheets prep really helps you get into that space if you're not already in it. So don't feel like you need to have the perfect candle, the perfect pens, the perfect thoughts in your head, or to listen to the perfect music. You can start anytime and just go through the process and answer intuitively.
Yes. How many people have felt that way, that you have to have the perfect circumstances, pen, time, candle, whatever it is, in order to do this well? And then those things sit on your shelf and collect dust and nothing ever happens from them, right? We're not going to do that, okay? I just want us to all band together as one group that we are not going to let perfection and fear hold us back from really doing good stuff. So if that is you, welcome to the club. We all feel that as well. We feel like we have to have the perfect circumstances or the perfect knowledge or to be an expert in something in order to do something with it, and you don't. Okay, let's get started.
So for some of our formal tips, the first thing that we want you to do is to just flip through the PowerSheets. Get to know what the process is like. If you've used the PowerSheets before, you can see how we've rearranged some pages that make a little more sense with how you're intuitively working through your goals. If you're completely new, then you get to just look at all the fun pages and get to see the sticker pages in the back. There are 2 sticker pages.
Yep, there are 2 sticker pages in the back, so don't forget about those as you start your prep work. It makes it so much more fun and meaningful.
But just flipping through it will help you know what the process is like, where some thoughts might live. It'll help you feel a little less pressured and like you have to get it all out at once because you know that you have the space to do it in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So get familiar with this thing because you're going to be living with it for hopefully the next year.
That's true.
And then next is to make sure you give yourself enough time to do this. And I also want to give you a kick in the pants with this one. So traditionally, I've told people that it usually takes about 2 weeks to get through the prep work. That actually may be the case for a lot of people. It really depends. Like maybe you only have a 5-minute window after the kids go to bed to do little by little progress for it. That's totally fine. But I also want to give you a little bit of motivation and push that you can do this entire thing and not rush through it within about 2 hours. So that's what it took me yesterday. That's me though, and I really had to not just push myself through it, but I actually sat with a lot of things and I let myself get through it. So plan well for this. Give yourself enough time, maybe 2 to 3 hours to do it, or break it up. Here's a tip for you. I want you to write this down. It's not written in your PowerSheets. There are 3 different sections that you can break up and do in chunks as you get ready for this intentional year ahead. Number 1 is the PowerSheets prep work. So in your PowerSheets, you'll see that there's this first section, and I believe this first section is up to page 31. There are a lot of inspiration pages in there too, so don't worry, it's not 31 pages of activities. But this first section is the PowerSheets prep work. That's what I did yesterday in about a couple hours. And again, I was kind of leisurely doing it. And then you get into the next portion, which is several pages to fill out your goals. It's a very thin piece here where you can fill out goal planning worksheets. That's probably going to take you another about 45 minutes at the most, don't you think? Maybe a little bit more?
Yeah, depending on how many goals you have.
Yeah, and then you get into the monthly section. So you can see the tabs here for each of the months. That usually takes people, I don't know, between, I'd say
new this year.
It's new this year. It's very simplified this year. So between, I'd say 30 minutes to an hour. And that's something you can schedule, later on. So there's 3 sections there. You can break those up and do them however you like, or do it all at once, or do it over 2 weeks. There's no rule here. You do what works for you and your schedule. Okay, here's a big tip, guys. make a mess. I'm going to read you something. If you have your PowerSheets, you can turn to page 12. It's this page right here. I'm going to read this to you because I want this to soak in, and I encourage you to read this several times, especially if you get up to a page where you feel like, oh, I'm really struggling with trying to find the perfect answer here. It's not about perfection. So maybe you are afraid to let your pen touch this paper because you want to put down perfect words. Final, clear, perfect, polished answers. Has anybody felt like that? Tell me in the comments if this resonates with you. Words that have meaning, words that change things. Maybe you feel inadequate, overwhelmed, lost, or unsure of your path right now. And maybe, like me, you are afraid that the words you put down here will change you. So you hesitate. Guess what? Peonies grow through the dirt, and so do you. So hesitate no more. Let the dirt be dirt. Make a mess and dig in. So that's my encouragement to you, is to make a mess. There were many pages where I caught myself wanting to have the perfect pen color for something or the right words, and then I just had to keep over and over repeating to myself, make a mess, make a mess, make a mess. Good things grow in the mess. Otherwise, here's the alternative. And I'm so glad, y'all, this is resonating with you. The alternative is you stay stuck. The alternative is this sits on your shelf and it's a waste of your money and your investment. But the opposite side of that is if you dig in and you make a mess and you let yourself write down imperfect words and you write in messy handwriting and you don't have the perfect circumstances, good things can happen. Good things can grow in that dirt. So if that's you, here's what I want you to do right now, friends, and really do this, because I know that there are, I think we've got about almost 1,800 people signed up for this today. I want all of you to take out a pen right now, including you ladies, you have pens. Although these aren't your PowerSheet sets, so never mind.
This is mine.
These are sample sets. I have mine. I want you to actually make a mess on this right now. So pick a page and scribble something on it, right? Make a mess somewhere. Maybe it's you haven't even filled out your name on the first page. Can you just go ahead and write that in your own authentic, messy handwriting? Whether you have children or not, I want you to think about this is a legacy and a lesson that you're passing on to the future generations, that they do not have to be perfect in order to make what matters happen. So I think about that a lot. Like if I'm spending so much time worrying about writing perfect stuff, how is that encouraging Grace to make a mess? Like how is that encouraging her to get her hands dirty and dig into things and learn? So yes, you bought erasable pens, Marjorie said. Hey, more power to you, but if that helps you make a mess and dig in, great. All right, my next tip for you is to reflect. Many times we feel like we want to just move forward and forget about the past, but the past, especially if it has been challenging for you in this year, has something to teach you. So I think it's very important that we put the brakes on a little bit and reflect and do it well. Here are some tips for you to write down. Ways that you can reflect is, number one, to look back at your calendar. That just kind of gives you a historical context for what happened this year. Number two is to flip, I did this the other night, is to flip through all the photographs that you have, maybe it's on your phone, of the past year, and especially the ones that you didn't favorite or post. Those are usually the moments that tell you the most. Go back and look at your journaling if you journal, or your blog posts, or even your social media posts. And here's a big tip, is to review your finances. So Ari and I have been doing kind of a year-end review of our finances, and it is definitely a huge indicator and almost a journal of where our priorities were during the year. So that can be very telling for you. And if that freaks you out a little bit, let that tension that you feel about looking at your finances, maybe that's a place that you want to cultivate more simplicity or less spending, let that lead you to good things. So dig into the mess there, into the dirt. Also talk to friends and family and ask them to share what they think your biggest wins this year or your biggest triumphs and successes were, and also some of the challenges, and then ask them the same question. It's great conversation, especially as we end out this year. Also, if you have older kids or grown kids, ask them to. I've been doing this with Grace, just asking her, what were the hard things about this year and what were the really good things for this year that stand out to you? And then for me, also recounting those things back to her that I noticed in her that were really good things. Another tip is to, if you are I keep messing up. I don't know why I get stuck on recurring. I've been doing finances. That's why I'm thinking of recurring charges. Yes. If you are a repeat PowerSheets user, one of our dear PowerSheets family friends, go back and look at your past PowerSheet sets and see the little by little progress that was made. It's not about crossing goals off. It's about the progress that you made. Yeah.
So another piece of encouragement, a question that we hear all the time is, are PowerSheets for personal or business? Can I use them for both? How do I separate them? How does that work? How does that look for y'all? And so our encouragement to you is that it's not about personal or business. The way that we design the process will kind of lead you to what is most important and what you need right now. So if you answer the questions honestly and intuitively and just as they come to you, you'll find that as you go through the process, you'll shake out what you need for goals for personal and business. And you can decide if you want to kind of make them a little more focused either way, but really it's about the essentials, like the bigger ideas, what's most important to you that transcends business or personal.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so for instance, the Getting to Know You page, I love that we've reordered so many things. There's so many different prompts in this year's PowerSheets, and the Getting to Know You page is one of the pages we know that a lot of you, and including us, got stuck on. We didn't know how to answer some of these things, but we made it really easy. So for instance, most of these things are personal questions, but they translate into maybe how you would approach your business in the big sense. So don't worry so much about separating them out before you do your PowerSheets. Just go through the process, and I promise you it will reveal itself what your priorities should be if you're thinking big picture instead of small picture.
It's not a to-do list. That's what we kind of say over and over again. It's not a to-do list. It's about much bigger essentials than that.
Yeah, and if we had a neon sign right now, it would have those words that she just said, which is the PowerSheets are not a to-do list. They are not a traditional day planner for that very reason. They are a list of priorities that you tend to little by little over the course of time. And these are the things, the PowerSheets, what you write and discover in here is what informs your planners. It's what informs your to-do lists and your checklists. So this is not a to-do list. This is, we need another word for that. A map. Yes, absolutely. Okay.
Yeah, so as you're going through PowerSheets, we wanted this to guide you very easily, but feel free to take some freedoms with it if you need to. For instance, the Getting to Know Me page that Lara was just on, we wrote out some suggested answers for you, but if something doesn't resonate with you, put in a different answer. Like write in anything that is resonating with you or better describes you.
I don't know if you guys can see this at all, but this is my Getting to Know Me page. So for instance, if your personal space does not look like any of these things, then you write in your own category. Like there are no rules here. You can cross it out and write in your own questions if it helps you. So, yep.
And feel free, I think the order that this is in makes a lot of sense for how your goals will kind of be honed as you go through. But I have been known to go backwards and forwards a little bit. For instance, I skipped my word of the year because I usually don't know it until I write out all of my goals for the year. And then I see a lot of patterns and repeated things. And then I pick my goal of the year there. Another thing that I did this year was as I finished my Mad Lib at the very end of the prep work section.
So that's page, just so you guys know where we are, we're talking about page, so many good pages. This was so fun yesterday. Page 31. So she's talking about page 31, the page that says my most purposeful year. It's kind of a summary of all of the work that you did in the prep work.
Yes, and there were some things as I was filling that page out that occurred to me that hadn't occurred to me earlier. So I went back, I wrote in some more things and just kind of flushed out some more pages as thoughts occurred to me.
Yeah, it's a great point. So like Emily said earlier, there's so much freedom. You can do this however you want and whatever works best for you. I only did the first portion of prep work yesterday because I purposely want to sit for a little while and, like Nicole said, let this marinate a little bit, and maybe other things will come up. Like, for instance, I'll probably add to my yes and no list. I'll probably add to the good things and the challenges lists as I just let this sit a little bit so that I'm really prepared for setting goals and for knowing what those should be.
Exactly.
Yeah. So as you do the prep work and different ideas come to you for goals, don't feel stuck in this framework. You can go back to the goal ideas page. You can jot down. I'm skipping ahead on one of Emily's tips here, but there are some blank spaces in this on purpose. We've actually had several people email us about the fact that there are a couple pages that are intentionally left blank.
Really?
Yes, we know. We know they are blank, and we hope that those give you some freedom to use however you like. So you can make notes and scribble, and I encourage you to do that, to go outside the lines, because friends, we feel so often that our lives have to fit into a box with a bow on it, right? A really pretty, perfect bow. But you and I were not made for boxes. So I encourage you, if you're going to want to live a life that's outside the box and live your own unique assignment, then do that in your PowerSheets. Let this be the practice place. Okay, big tip here. When I got to the fears page, which is page, and I think all the page numbers are the same in both, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So whether you have an undated set or the dated one-year workbook, all the page numbers are the same if you're listening in. But when I got to the fears page, I felt a little fear. Is it page 15?
Yes.
Okay. Page 15. I just felt a little heaviness because I just thought, oh, I've dealt with so much hard stuff this year. I don't really want to do this page right now. But then I thought about Amber and how she had been sick the night before and she did her PowerSheets anyway. And that was encouraging to me. And so I just did it. And I just pushed through it. And I just thought, it doesn't have to be perfect. My answers don't have to be perfect. And also a huge piece of encouragement is that do not write these things in your PowerSheets for the sake of an Instagram photo. Yes, they're beautiful. Yes, there are many pages that we hope that you do share to encourage others, like your word of the year, for instance. But this fears page, I hope that this is a safe space for you to know that this does not have to be posted or shared anywhere, because you can't know where you're going next if you don't know where you are right now. And this page ended up being the most fruitful page for me to really stop and say, I don't really want to write this. But when I wrote it, it helped me to feel some freedom to move forward. So if you get stuck, fight the hard feelings and just do the work. I'm going to say it again. If you get stuck, fight the hard feelings and just do it. Note that there are thousands of other people that are just doing it too. Thank you, Nike, for that quote. Don't be afraid to write the things that you don't want others to see. And again, these are not for Instagram photos. Make your PowerSheets a safe space. Okay, my next tip is on page. We left an entire page for you as a reminder at the very end of the prep work. So if you go to the tab that says goals, you'll find this page right here. This, to me, ended up being the most valuable way that I uncovered what my goals should be. Do not skip this page. I didn't know what my goals were going to be last year until I did these 3 things, which is to flip back. Yes, so good. Flip back and circle, mark or sticker or highlight things that stood out to you. So as you go through the PowerSheets prep work, you're probably going to see some themes. I call those things threads. You're probably going to find some threads that are tying things together. So yeah, so good. Maybe it is, and you can see the
color marker, which is helpful.
Yeah, you'll see themes. You'll see words that pop up. And for me, that absolutely happened. So go back and do what this page says. It says, before you lay down some good goals and turn to the next step, flip back through and circle, mark, or sticker. That's what those stickers are for.
Or all 3.
Or all 3. And highlight things that stand out to you. And as those themes become clear, you'll know what to do next. All right, next tip is a reminder that your goals can and should change over time. Your goals can and should change over time. My goals from the beginning of last year changed at my next goal refresh 3 months later, and they kept changing and growing as I kept changing and growing. And you can change your word too. So every 3 months, you don't have to stick with the one word. Don't fret over this word. It's just a word. You don't even have to set a word if you don't want to, okay? If that stresses you out, just cross it out. Say no word this year. But you can change your word in 3 months. So these goals that you're setting, this word you're choosing, the things that you're writing down are just for this season. And we were made for the seasons. We grow and change just like the seasons do. So it doesn't have to be forever. Okay, a few more things here before we close out. We told you all this would be a quick, short time. I hope it has been helpful so far, is that you do not have to have 10 goals. When you get to the goal setting section, we see this question asked a lot. There are 10 spaces for you. Maybe you need more than 10. Maybe you need less. But if you're really thinking of the big picture, we hope that 10 is sufficient for you. But there are no rules here. You could have 2 goals. When I started my PowerSheets last January, I had 2 goals.
I have 2 goals.
Yep, and she's got 2 goals now. That was it.
I have 8 goals, so it's fine if you have more.
Yeah, it's fine if you have more. Or maybe you have 12, who knows. But just go with whatever number you've got. In the new PowerSheets, I really love our action idea worksheets. So this is in the goals section. Oh yeah, Emily has it there, all filled out. I love the action plan worksheets here. So you can see a blank one right here. And it has a place to write your goal, why you want that goal to happen, and then starting steps, as well as some other fun questions there. This is very different from last year. Last year we had action steps, which I think is a little bit hard to digest. But what's most important is a starting step, because it is so difficult, usually more difficult, to figure out the first step to take than it is the rest of the plan, right? So this is just self-explanatory, but I'm just going to give you one example for a goal and a why. So maybe in your PowerSheets prep, you've noticed there is a theme for health or wellness, that you really want to improve your health and wellness or something in that realm. I've used this example before, but it's just such a great real life example. Is that when I was a personal trainer many years ago, I had a gentleman come to me for training, and he said, okay, my goal for training is that I want to lose 20 pounds to fit into the jeans I wore in college. Has anybody set a goal like that before? It's so self-defeating to set a goal like that, because it's a goal that's based out of guilt, not out of a bigger picture vision. So instead of that, we dug a little deeper. We talked about what's most important to him. And we basically did like a little mini PowerSheets process here, and came to find out that the things that were most important to him, number one was his daughter, his relationship with his daughter. And so we changed his goal from, I want to lose 20 pounds because that's what I weighed in college and I wanted to fit into those jeans, to, I want to live long enough to be able to walk my daughter down the aisle. And now that is motivating. That is what changed him. And so, of course, he was going to get up every day. And even through times when he messed up or went off track, he still knew that that goal was important to him. And he was ever motivated to make that goal happen. And the how he was accomplishing that was way less important than the why. I'm going to say that again. The how, for how he was actually going to do that, was way less important than why he was doing it. So that's why we have this here, is that you write out whatever your goal is. And again, these don't have to be perfect sentences, right? It could be scribble. Maybe you just write, I want to improve my health, and then write out why, and it'll become more clear what the specific goal is. And then you write in some potential starting steps. And again, these may change, but just write in a few. You don't have to fill out all of these. You could just write one. And then on the sidebar, I love these new sidebar questions. We have the positive result that taking action on this goal may have on my life and others, because it's not about us. People to ask for guidance or accountability on this goal, and resources to try, what progress looks like on this goal, so you can start to identify progress over perfection. And then this is one of my favorites, how I'm going to celebrate this goal when I complete it. We had a great conversation in our office. We do the PowerSheets as a team too, as well as do them individually. And we had a great conversation in doing our PowerSheets a couple weeks ago about how we're going to celebrate progress and how that makes achieving a goal, or even making progress on a goal, so much more meaningful. So yeah, write those in. Okay, tending tips. So for those of you that have used PowerSheets before, you know that in these monthly sections, the most popular page in the PowerSheets is the tending list. I'm going to hold one up for you. Oh, you got one. You're ahead of me. This is the tending list. So you heard us talk in the beginning of this about how the PowerSheets are really to focus on your essentials, the things that matter most to you. And then little by little over time to be able to tend and grow those things. And that's what the tending list allows you to do, to look at your big picture goals from the year or that season or that quarter, and then start to break them down and say, okay, how am I going to tend to this thing? How am I going to make this thing grow? So here are some tips from us.
The first, use this tending list to fit your life. It works for business, for personal, or a mixture of your goals.
And this is on page 54 too. We're just going to kind of expand on some of these, but in case you are taking notes, just flip to page 54.
The second tip is flip through your yearly goals. So what we just went over, this tab right here. Flip through them before filling out your tending list each month. Chip away at a few of them by adding some action plan ideas or starting steps to your tending list.
Yeah, so look at those action plan worksheets and look at your starting steps and start on them. Put them on the tending list. Say, okay, in the month of January, on my health and wellness goal, my first starting step was to, maybe it's talk to your husband about joining a gym, or maybe it is finding new recipes. Put that on your tending list so it actually happens.
Yeah, and that's one of the simplest things, but it's been one of the most helpful things for me. And even with business, I know y'all in the meeting every week go back to the goals and say, this is the goal, what are we doing on it this week to work towards it? And it's been really powerful.
Yeah, so that's why we have a goals tab. Flip through this to this tab often.
Yeah.
Okay, next. Add items from your calendar and your important to-dos to your attending list. For example, if one of them is to host a neighborhood party or finish a project well, and move that from your deadlines list or your planner and put it on your attending list. So you can check it off, make progress on it, scribble things in.
Yeah, so if you have existing things that are coming up, maybe it's a birthday that you're celebrating or a vacation or a project that you're finishing, those things should be included here. So include existing things. And actually, I didn't really have this on our notes for today, but we have a new page each month. The first thing that you're gonna do is to look at your calendar. Look at the existing things you have coming up, appointments, to-dos, and write in what's on your calendar over here, big highlights here. Writing in the important to-dos, maybe it's work stuff or home maintenance or whatever it is. Write in things that you're excited for, because when we think about the things that fire us up, it helps us to have momentum to actually get things done. And then you can choose each month a focal goal. Maybe it's from your big list, or a new word or an inspiration quote, whatever you want. So it's about the repetition of coming back to those priorities over and over, refining those priorities over time, and then little by little making progress on them.
All right, the next thing is that repeat PowerSheeters will see that on the monthly goals of the attending list, we have changed the checkbox to a progress bar, which I know a lot of people are excited about.
Confetti everywhere.
So since the monthly goals are often bigger things and maybe even projects that you're working on over more than 1 month, you can fill in the progress bar throughout the month to kind of represent your progress, even if you can't officially check it off.
I kind of did this. If you guys have followed me on Instagram and my stories, I made my own progress bars even before we released these, because it was so helpful for me to not just look at my monthly goals and say, oh, well, I haven't completed that yet, so I can't check it off. I was like, oh, we need a progress bar here. So we have a progress bar, and it's just so fun to just little by little fill that in and see that progress really does add up.
Yep. Okay, so then there are spaces for monthly goals, weekly goals, and daily goals on your attending list. And again, this is just encouragement that you don't need to fill out every line for every section. I find that I often have a handful of monthly goals, a lot of weekly goals, and then maybe only 2 daily goals, and that's totally fine. Yours might be totally different. But yeah, just encouragement that you don't need to do every line, and probably maybe shouldn't. And then finally, the daily goals. People often ask us about, like, what is an example of a daily goal, or what is the use for that space? And I like to think of them as habits. So they're usually very small, simple things that you're hoping to, over time, just incorporate into your life, and you don't have to think about checking them off. So maybe you have them on your PowerSheets for 3 months, and then at that point, they are habits that you've incorporated, so you can move on to a new habit that you want to cultivate.
Absolutely. Also, P.S., the attending list is perforated. So a huge tip is to take this out if you desire, and have this somewhere you can see it often. I know a lot of you repeat, I got it right once, repeat PowerSheeters. You love the idea of being able to pull this out and put it somewhere where you can see it often. Maybe it's on your refrigerator, maybe it is on your desk, maybe it's on a clipboard or on the front of the notebook, whatever it is. Take this out, and then if you're like me and you like to keep things all together too, at the end of the month you can just use some washi tape and tape it right back in. So it's an easy perforation. Use that and have it out where you can see it all the time. Make your attending list items connected to what matters. Going back to the tips on page 54. So make them very specific too. Here's an example. Instead of work out, try get outside and get moving 3 times a week for 30 minutes, because it will help give me more energy. So if I would have stopped right at get outside and get moving 3 times a week for 30 minutes, that just feels like, why am I doing that, right? But when you add the why to it, because it's going to give me more energy, well, yeah, let's go do that. You know, let's make that happen. Emily kind of touched on this about not filling in every line. I also rarely end a month where everything is checked off, because that's not what it's about. Again, this is not a to-do list. This is a progress list. Progress is so much more important in the big picture. And a little by little adds up. And again, you can take your attending list out, put this somewhere where you can see it every day. I personally am using this bound workbook and gonna just leave my attending list open on my desk every day, but you can do whatever works best for you. Another great idea too that we've seen a lot of friends do is to take a picture of your attending list so that you have it on your phone. So if you have like an idle moment and you're feeling like distracted, or I don't know what I should be focusing on right now, have that as your background on your screensaver, or the background on your computer. Yeah, just have it out where you can see it. Because here's the thing. How many of you have felt like it is very easy to get distracted? Does anybody feel like that? That it's just, yeah, I'll raise my hand on that one too. It is, it just is. That's just the way that the world is. There are millions of different, very smart people who are very good at trying to get our attention, whether it's through Instagram or social things or advertisements or coupons or whatever it is, catalogs, the catalogs this season. So many things are trying to get our attention, and we have a choice. We have a choice as to where we place our attention, and that's what we hope the PowerSheets help you to do, is to put the eyes of your heart and your mind on things that will help you to cultivate what matters specifically to you. Okay, couple more things here. We talked about the blank pages. They're there for a reason. Use them to your advantage. Okay.
The dated workbook. So some people have asked us, I'm going to see if I can show
I got
this
it.
here. Thank you. Why we ordered the months and the refresh the way that we did. So you'll see that it goes January, February, and then a spring refresh, March, April, May, and then a summer refresh.
We know that spring does not come in February.
Yes, but we've heard from many of you throughout the years that January and February are kind of like their own little season by themselves, and that by the time you get to March, you're ready for spring. So we kind of group these in more intuitive seasons rather than actual seasons. And what we've also heard from you once you get to fall, where you have September, October, November, is that oftentimes December just looks totally different from you. Like you're not even using PowerSheets the same way. You're mostly focused on spending time with your families around the holidays.
And also prepping for the new year. Like that's what we're doing.
Exactly. So we decided to just group that in there so there's no guilt about whether or not you did something that was really specific for December.
Yeah, but you can use it however you want. If you want to be just very like to the letter and on the exact first day of spring do your goal refresh, then that's totally fine. Do it in whatever order you want. But we felt like this was more intuitive for most people. You're just ready for the cold to be over, at least here in North Carolina. And we know a lot of you in a much colder climates than us. You're just weenies over here. Okay, a couple things to close out. We have something very exciting that is launching hopefully tomorrow. Hopefully.
So many of you, if you've gone through PowerSheets already and you have them in your hands, if you don't, you'll see this soon. CultivateWhatMatters.com is our big community site where all of you can create your own profiles, share some of your goals, get encouragement. We are relaunching that hopefully tomorrow, and it's going to be a lot easier to use. You're not going to need an access code to it. If you've had any trouble logging in, try just leaving the access code blank for now and try logging in that way. Hopefully tomorrow you won't have any issue with it, but it's going to be a lot easier to use, and we're going to have a lot more educational opportunities and like guidance for you to work through PowerSheets in really specific ways.
Yeah, just a lot of inspiration. We feel like that's needed. I get so inspired hearing other people's stories. Like so many of you have been so incredible about sharing your PowerSheet stories, sharing how you have made little by little progress, things that you've learned even in your mistakes. So we wanted this place to be that. We want it to be a home for inspiration. So that is hopefully launching tomorrow. We're crossing our fingers, but look out for that. Also, my goal setting series, please pull out your planners if you can. I'm also going to give you a couple tips to close out on how to use your planner and your PowerSheets together. We've touched on that a little bit here, but December 26th starts my annual goal setting series. This is my 6th year. Can't believe that. My 6th year of doing this goal setting series. And I am very excited about this year in particular. I'll be giving you additional steps to help you really dig deep into your 2017 goal setting and to make it fun and meaningful. So mark your planners for December 26th. That will begin that day. There'll be a big giveaway associated with that too. So how to use your planner and your PowerSheets together. Like we've said, this is not a to-do list. This is the thing you do before filling out your month of planner stuff or whatever it is. This is your priorities. So how to use them together? One way is, do you have a sticker book? I do. Great. We created this awesome little sticker book. Not only is it beautiful and fun, but it's also very meaningful and practical. So one thing that you will see in here, among many awesome things, There are stickers in here for PowerSheets prep days, for days off, for social media free weekends, which we are a huge fan of around here, for date nights, and that doesn't have to be with a significant other, that could be with your best friend, for adventure, all kinds of very meaningful things here. So one way to integrate your PowerSheets with your planner is to use a sticker book, or simply to write those things in. But I suggest doing your PowerSheets first each month so you know what your priorities should be, and so you are constantly revisiting what those big picture goals are and what really matters to you in the very big picture. And then let that inform your planner. Put little reminders in your planner too. I do this on my iCal too, and in my simplified planner, is to put little reminders of things that are important to you. Another tip that we have heard from many people is maybe you choose different days of the week to tend to certain things. So maybe Friday, since you're moving into the weekend, might be your day to check in on your finances or look at your budget, so that helps you spend well on the weekend. Maybe Monday is the day that you check in with a specific friend. Really, there's no rules, but this is just a suggestion to help you to tend things well. And put those on your planner so that you actually make them happen. Okay, those are the tips we have. We're going to answer a couple questions now, and then we have some fun things to share at the end. So thank y'all so much for these very thoughtful questions. We love this first question that Sarah Jo put. She said, "Hi Lara, I really want to cultivate what matters in this upcoming year." Awesome. But there are so many things that I want to cultivate, and I'm afraid to get overwhelmed by having too many goals. Does anybody else feel that way? They're all good things, like rich relationships, a rooted faith, a simplified life, purging what I have, college prep, and taking care of myself. How do I decide which ones to focus on? I feel like they're all important, and I don't want to neglect any of them. I have lots of good encouragement for you, Sarah Jo. And I think you say Sarah Jo, maybe you just say Sarah, but we're in the South here where we like double names. My first piece of encouragement for you is you have time. Like, Lord willing, you have a whole year to plant the seeds of these goals, and you do not have to do it all in January. That gives me a lot of freedom too, just to know that I've had lots of friends tell me that lately. Like, I interviewed Sally Clarkson. She's a wonderful author and mentor last week, and she said, don't think that just because you are a certain age or you come to a certain point in your life, I think she's 64, she said, that you don't have time to do the things that matter to you in your life. So there are time for those things. Do you have any thoughts on that too?
The first thing that popped to my mind is just that we don't have a magic bullet that we can tell you. The thing is, like, you do have to choose. Like, you just have to pick something or a few somethings and start working on those. And that's the way you make progress, so that you can move on to the next thing. So I think just because you say, okay, these 3 things are my focus for this month, that doesn't mean that you're neglecting all of those things for the rest of your life or the rest of the year. It's just you're choosing those few things to narrow in and focus on right now.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, and there's also an encouragement page on this in the PowerSheets, is that we can't do it all and do it well.
Yes.
You can't grow everything in your garden at once, or else everything else is going to suck the life out of the other things.
Yeah.
And we really have experienced that in our business. Like, we're realizing that we've grown 2 really amazing companies, and we're like, okay, which things do we focus on? What becomes priority? Because we can't do it all and do it well, but we can choose to do a few things well in each specific season that we're given. So for instance, like, we publish a magazine in November. We're not going to be really focusing on the magazine layout in January. We're not even going to think about that, actually. We're going to focus on other things that in that specific season are appropriate. So yeah, that was really good advice. Do you have any thoughts, Nicole?
I am similar to Emily. My other hopefully helpful piece of advice is that maybe some of these little goals that you're thinking of are actually action steps to larger goals. So maybe it's take care of yourself, but taking care of yourself also means being surrounded by your friends and making sure that your home is, like, clean and organized so that it's a restful place for you. And maybe those become monthly action items or daily habits that you slowly work on.
Absolutely, yeah. And my last piece of advice on that for everybody is that when I started this current calendar year in January, actually it was a little bit before that, it was like around this time last year, I was going through a lot of life shifting. I had just had Josh several months before. I had a baby then, and we were trying to figure out what we're going to do with our adoption coming up, and I was trying to write a book. So many things were happening, and there are these inevitable shifts in our lives and times where we feel like there's so many things we want to make happen, but like Emily and Nicole both said, you just have to choose something and just go for it. But there was a time where I like literally almost ran into a wall in my own house because I was trying to do it all. So my encouragement for you is that you can grow really good things, but if you try to do them all at once, they're all going to get muddied and watered down. And maybe the question I asked myself at that time was maybe some of the things that I thought I should have as goals, and this may not apply to you at all, or I thought should be important and I thought needed to get done, even had to get done, didn't actually have to get done. Like maybe some of those things could get totally crossed off my list when I looked at the bigger picture. So for me, that's why I love PowerSheets. I love that I get to do this. And I mean, doing them yesterday was so eye-opening for me to see that I didn't actually have to do a lot of those things I thought I had to do. I just had to do what mattered. So great question. And I hope that helps not only you, Sarah Jo, I'm gonna say that with a Southern accent now, but helps everyone else. All right, another question is, I always have a hard time deciding how my personal life and work life connect on PowerSheets. My to-do list for work is long and has lots of small projects mixed in. So how do we deal with that? We were just talking about that earlier, but I think we kind of answered that question, is that the PowerSheets are really for the bigger picture. And yeah, just start with the bigger picture and hopefully that will help you to be able to do those things well. Does that help?
Yeah, especially on the prep work. Think more globally, bigger, and then in your tending list, that's where you can start to include some of those smaller tasks and projects and things.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, last question here, or we'll get to two more. Hi, Lara, this is my first year. This is Kate. My first year doing PowerSheets. Hi, wonderful. We're so happy to have all you first timers. First year doing PowerSheets, and I'm so excited. I was hoping to sit down with my husband and discuss our goals and vision for 2017 together. Do you have any practical tips for doing this effectively? Yes, we do. In fact, I don't know if you have it already, but we have a new PowerSheets companion guide for couples in the shop. And so Amber, if you're still with us, you are. If you could pop that link in there. If you're doing PowerSheets as a couple, or you want to talk, even just have a conversation with your significant other about goals. I don't know about you guys, my husband does not like this whole goal setting thing. Some husbands do. Mine, he really likes like intentional conversation, but when it comes to like setting goals, he's like not so into it. So I just want you to know that that is the mind frame we designed this with. That it's not something that's as in-depth at all as the PowerSheets. It's meant to be used with them. So my encouragement to you is don't force it on anybody, but you can use our companion guide, which is a very small guide to do either on a date night or after the kids go to sleep or whatever. And it's super easy and fun and just conversational. So I hope that helps. Okay, now that you are 4 years in, what do you do with your old PowerSheets? Nicole and I are excited to answer this question. Do you keep them? Do you keep just some summary pages? Such a great question, Allison. I agree with you. She said, I don't want to be weighed down with too much stuff, but knowing where I've been is useful. Indeed. So Nicole and I don't know if you've read this book, but we have read the life-changing magic of tidying up. Okay, all of us have read this. There were some real weird parts of that book, but I really enjoyed the practical advice in that book. So Nicole, what do you think?
Well, I think there are two levels of approaches you could take here. The first is that, and I've done this with a lot of things, is that matter most to you. If you don't need to save the entire workbook, you don't have to. Rip those out, put them in a binder or a scrapbook if you want to. Another level, which I often take part in, is just tossing it. Because for me, if I have something else, whether it's photos on my phone or photos around my home or some other way to remember where I've been, I don't need an entire workbook to look back on those things, especially since a lot of my PowerSheets is often me working through problems and the only things that really stand out as celebration are the celebration pages. So
absolutely. Yeah, I'm with Nicole. You know, I love mementos, and we all do. We love keeping things that really matter and remind us of things. So maybe it is, like Nicole said, just choosing a few pages that stand out to you, that help you to celebrate progress. But as Marie Kondo would say, is to say to it that thank you so much for what you have done in my life, and the moment has passed, all those wonderful phrases that I use with my clothes. So I hope that's helpful. I think that's a really great question, actually, because I think that the past can teach us and show us how much we've changed and grown.
Yeah, I like to keep mine through when I do move into my new set of PowerSheets, and then I see it on its way. But I think even its name, a workbook, is important. It's not a scrapbook, it's a workbook. So you use it for what it's supposed to be used for, and then you can send it on its way.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, last question. Such a great question, Jessica. You said that my husband was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer, which I'm so sorry to hear, in May. You have 2 children that are very young. You know, how do you, basically the question and the one that follows this is, how do you do PowerSheets in a hard season? And how do you do them when you have so much going on? I can definitely identify with portions of this question. In this year, in going through so much transition with our adoption and so much stuff, and having a lot of anxiety in that too, and having 0 time for myself, I still knew that for me anyway, the PowerSheets would help me to focus on the essentials. And so that was self-care and that was prayer. And so that if you look at my PowerSheets from March, for instance, that's literally the only thing that's on there. I did not even take the time to check anything off or like do any progress bar stuff. You don't. I just had that out where I could see it all the time as a reminder of the things that I knew were essential to get through that season. So if you're in a season of transition, we had somebody asked about, I'm moving, how do you get through these things? Let me actually just go to that question because that was a really good question. Yeah, to skip ahead, Kay, you said you're moving countries into a new job January 1st. I want to be intentional about making a smooth transition, especially since my heart is breaking as I'm leaving so many friends and support systems behind. Any suggestions on how to structure my PowerSheets to achieve this? You've already said your goal right there. So the goal would be for you to have a smooth transition, and especially since you want to honor these connections. So to me, there's a lot that you can pull out of that. Is honoring the friends and the support system that you have, trying to cultivate a new support system in the area where you're going to be moving, little by little, of course, and then to make a smooth transition from where you're going. So whether it is illness or having small children, or maybe you are an at-home mom and you have very little time to yourself during the day, is to carve out those little tiny pockets. This doesn't have to take tons of time. Maybe it's 5 minutes for you while the kids are eating or whatever it is. Or my huge tip for those of you that have kids is to do your PowerSheets with your kids. Age appropriate, of course. But Grace, for instance, last year and this year when I'm going through my goals, she colors on mine. I let her make a mess, and it allows me to have a good conversation with her too, to say, these are the things that I'm working on or working through, and this is what I'm doing about it. So I hope that helps a little bit. You guys have any thoughts on those?
Yeah, that's good.
Good. All right. And thank y'all so much for all of the questions. We're going to go back through after this broadcast and answer a few more of those just in the comments. But we want to honor everybody's time and close out here with a couple of fun things. Like Nicole said, we are hopefully launching cultivatewhatmatters.com tomorrow. If you haven't already gotten your PowerSheet set, it's not too late. Order that at shop.cultivatewhatmatters.com. And it's also, y'all listen to me on this one because I'm saying this to myself. It's not too late to make progress on a goal from 2016. It is not too late. The year is not over yet. So as much as we're talking about forethought and intentional planning and doing good things for the year ahead, there are still several days left in this year for you to really plant good seeds. And I have to give a shout out to one of my dear friends, Nancy Ray, who is a PowerSheets user and just a dear friend of ours. She has set a big, audacious goal for this last portion of the year, and that's to raise $30,000 for an incredible charity called Dressember. So Amber, if you can put that link in the comments, and if not, I'll do it afterwards. I have the direct link here, either to her blog or to her donation page. I just think this is so awesome. Go read Nancy's blog. It's really inspiring to think about using these last days of 2016 on purpose, intentionally for a greater purpose. Yeah. Anything else? Any words of encouragement to folks before we close out?
I would just say, and this is, I know you've heard it from us before, but whenever I really stop and think about it, this is what it comes down to. Would you rather make some progress rather than no progress? Like if you don't start, nothing's going to change. So even if you don't do it perfectly or you only accomplish one goal, then that's one more goal than you would have not done.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
Just start, just do something, just get something down on paper.
Agreed. And I think that maybe you're reluctant to start. Maybe you bought these PowerSheets on a whim and now you're like, I just don't know if I'm ready for these. I don't know if they're right for me. Just do it. Just try it. Because I think that you might be surprised in what comes out during the prep work.
Yes.
Yes. Yep. My encouragement to all of you is that you can do this. Like you actually can make progress on the things that matter to you. You do not have to be perfect. You don't have to have the perfect circumstances, and you don't have to be an expert in something to be able to do something really good with it.
Yeah.
So you have freedom and grace and more ability, I think, than you give yourself credit for. And know that we are here doing the same thing alongside you and doing this journey with you. I cannot wait to share with you my personal PowerSheets progress and process, and also my personal goals in my upcoming goal setting series on laracasey.com starting on December 26th. But y'all, thank you so much for joining us. And please encourage those of you, your friends, to watch this free broadcast if you know that they have PowerSheets or they haven't gotten them yet. If you know someone that needs encouragement, we'd love to pass this along to them to help them in the new year. All right, thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Happy holidays.